So next up on this Supra, I've already got the intake manifold, exhaust manifold all off, cleaned up. I gotta plug one of those, I assume. I got the oil right there and there. Plug one and use one for the oil feed for the turbo. Waiting on a exhaust manifold gasket to bolt up this PHR cast manifold, which will hold this turbo, which is the 6266 Precision. I think this is the street kit. So like it has this downpipe, that bung, it's got this wastegate here, and Turbo Smart gate. But I'm gonna put all that to the side, and I am going to focus on the fuel system. So these are the parts over here. Powerhouse Racing fuel rail. You've got this hose that goes with it. Also this. You've got the fuel pressure regulator. And then you're looking at that, and of course the injectors. And you're like, yeah, it just goes right here where the injectors are. But you can't get to it, right? It is so tight. No way to get into that. So I'm going to take off this top section. This intake manifold is like a two-piece. And you'll see the bolts, this one right here being one of them, right there. Right next to the engine oil dipstick, right there. Up one deeper, right there. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them, I think. Easiest thing to do is just to look at the new gasket and count how many holes there are, because that's how many bolts there will be. So I think I have one laying around I'll throw on, but ripping off that top half. Finally, I got the upper intake manifold off, and good thing I got a spare one of these, because this thing got kind of bent up. I mean, probably salvageable, but we got a new one. Into the pile of never putting back on again. Some things to note. This was a pain in the butt. This 14, hard to get to. Had to take the dipstick off. Well, unbolt it 10 millimeter from right there. This was hard to get to because there was a coolant line running up into the IACV here-ish. All right, so it runs up, down through here. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, this guy right here. All right, so that ran up right through there, blocking it. So undid that, pulled it through, and there was another vacuum line which goes into oblivion. This one, don't know what the heck that even goes to. I don't know. Probably not going to use it. Not gonna use it. Oh. Also, the throttle body cooling, this, and oh boy, I guess that. It's like, no, that's for fuel. But yeah, a lot of this stuff probably can just leave off IACV, so we can probably just leave that off. A bunch of stuff we can probably leave off. Probably don't need that, don't need that. That we can use. That probably don't need. And you see the cooling ports right here. Actually, that is a vacuum line that went to the tip of the power steering fitting. Yeah, I know, weird. But cooling. Yeah, lots of stuff that was connected here. We'll probably have to plug this because I don't think we are going to use that sensor at all. But we're finally here. We have our fuel rail and injectors. So we can get working on that. We made it a little further. One thing to note that is weird, in my opinion, this one is injector for the injector harness for cylinder number 1. It goes right on there, and then it goes, 2 through 6 are then on this leg. So, 2 through 6 on here, 1 over here. Interesting. And oh man, still got 2 final bolts right there and right there, and then they should pull off. We're almost all off. As our pile of parts that we took off grows and our bolts that we probably won't use again grows. Quick little comparison here. So this is where our fuel filter was, down underneath the car. So right here, a little dark, but that's where it starts. So that's where we start here. We go up to this, I think it's called a fuel pulsation. I don't know what the heck this thing is, but it goes from here up to the fuel rail, and from the fuel rail, we've got our injectors, and that's where all the fuel goes. And from here, it came out and hit a return. So now, to simplify things, this comes out of the fuel filter, fuel rail goes to the fuel pressure regulator, and then the return, and then hook up your vacuum hose there. So we got these upgraded injectors here, upgraded. They are, what size are they? 1200 cc injectors. They come with this style of a plug, which unfortunately will not plug into this style of plug. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna chop these off, and I'm gonna replace them with these ends so that they can go on, and it doesn't matter which wire you put to what. So I'm just gonna slice them off, solder them on, heat shrink, and then that'll be that. And then these seats, they are just like a press in. It is an extremely tight fit. Right, I can just pop it on, but I'm not gonna do that just yet. I'm gonna clean up those injector areas really good because there's a ton of carbon buildup. And then maybe put some RTV around those bosses, if that's what they're called, or the injector seats. All right, we have our precious little plug-ins here for our stock injectors. We can put this to the side. We don't need these anymore. Cut them all off, and we replaced them with some new stuff. All right, so we got all new plug-ins there, and I'm gonna wrap them up in some tape, make it look a little bit better than that, and then we get back to putting some injectors in. All right, and here we go with the harness all cleaned up. Looks way better. I wouldn't say it looks factory, because you can tell exactly where I taped because it looks way newer, but it looks much better than it did in the previous little shot. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and injector 6. All right, next I'm gonna pop these seals in, clean it up, a little bit of RTV, pop them in. There should just be press fit, but RTV never hurt nothing, and go from there. All right, I put these little, I guess you want to call them bosses, or like a race, or adapters, whatever you want to call these things, but you'll see the difference here. Right, this is like a aluminum, well, it's 2 pieces of aluminum, but this one's shinier because this one's so old. But I put a little bit of RTV. They say they're just press in, but why not? Can't hurt. Slap the injectors in, put the fuel rail on top, bolt it all back up. Next up, we got the injectors. So we are going to oil these O-rings just a tad, just so they slide in nice and easy. These O-rings, or sorry, these injectors are just going to slide right in like that. Well, they're not in yet, but I'm not going to push them in because I want to put a little bit of oil on them. Then put the fuel rail on top of them, which also oil the top. There's a cap on here. I don't know why there's not a cap on the bottom, but, and same with these fittings, oil them before you tighten them down. because there's a O-ring in here. This is just like finger tight. And as far as mounting this fuel rail goes, these will bolt into our intake manifold right here. Boom, with the shorter full threaded Allen bolts. So it bolts there and over there. Boop. And then inside here is threaded. See that in there? Then these longer, skinnier ones will slide through the rail and bolt to that right there. So pretty easy. One thing that really bugs me, so this is going to sit in here, the fuel rail sits right on top of here, and the bolt is going to come in from this side. So watch, I'll thread this in. Threads in nice and smooth this way, look, all the way through. Obviously I'm doing this like this because I'm having an issue inside the car, or in the engine bay I should say. Threading it in nice and what looks to be straight, right? Nope, right there, resistance. Dude. Is that not straight? Like it just threaded through the other way. Resistance, I'm not trying to force it because that's how you cross thread stuff, but like, come on, man. Come on. So I'm gonna find a tap or die and chase the threads. I hate this. Oh, and the other thing is, this is a standard bit. This is a metric bit. Fuel rail's on. It was a little tough threading on the bolt to this little bracket here in the back one, but got it on. Injector clips are on. Everything's wired up. All these plugs are just not going to be used. Well, most of them. We got our cam sensor there and there plugged in, front and rear one, which are notorious for leaks. As you can see, they are, but whatever, good enough. I'm going to take off some stuff under there, like this tube, because we won't need that with this ECU. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see.